which sounds like a lot of time, but paired with school and work and everything else, we were rehearsing maybe 5-6 hours a week, and so very little time to put all of this together, and everyone just did such an amazing job, cast and crew, such an amazing and talented group of people that I am just ecstatic to share what we've been working on with you all tonight. Some things to go over. The show is about 2 hours long with a 10-minute intermission in between. Now we have some rules of the game to go through. Please make sure all cell phones are off during this time while I'm continuing to ramble on. You are free to do so. Wearing a mask is not required, but strongly encouraged. Make sure we have no food or drink in the King Theater, and make sure we are keeping the aisleways clear. Make sure our stuff is with us in our seat, especially the sides and the back, as we have actors who will be moving throughout the show. And no recording, either videos or pictures, no recording of any kind. Now we have content warnings, very fun. This show has death! Whoa! Very surprising. Along with that, we also have blood, simulated violence, fake weapons, loud noises, and alcohol use. Oh my goodness. Very exciting. And that is all from me, so without further ado, and then there were none.
Shipshape now. Looks nice, don't it, Fred?
Looks neat enough to me. Kind of bare, but rich folks like places bare, so it seems.
Rich folks is strange.
And he was a strange sort of gentleman who built this place. Spent a wicked lot of money on it, he did. Then gets tired of it. Puts the whole thing up for sale.
Well, I don't know what the Owens would want buying it. Living on an island.
Oh, come off it, Ethel, and bring us up out to the kitchen. They'll be here any minute.
Making that steep climb an excuse for a drink, I suppose. Like some others I know.
That'd be young Jim. I'll be getting along. There's 2 guests arriving by car, I understand.
And remember, I shall need 5 loaves of bread for the morning and 8 pints of milk.
Right.
And don't forget the oil for the engine, Fred. I ought to charge up tomorrow, or else I'll have the lights running down.
It was held up on railway. It's at the station now. I'll bring it across first thing tomorrow.
And give him half the luggage, will ya?
Right.
I forgot to give you the list of guests, Tom.
Thanks, old girl. Doesn't look like a very classy lot to me. VERA CLAYTHORNE. She'll probably be the secretary.
I don't hold much with secretaries. Worse than hospital nurses. Putting on airs and graces and looking down on the servants.
Oh, stop grousing, Ethel, and cuddle into that lovely, up-to-date, expensive kitchen of yours.
Gadgets for my fancy.
So this is it. How perfectly lovely.
Miss Claythorne.
You're Rogers?
Yes. Good evening, miss.
Good evening, Rogers. Will you bring up my luggage and Captain Lombard?
Very well, miss.
You've been here before? No, but I've heard a lot about the place. From Mr. and Mrs. Owen? No, well, Johnny Brewer, a pal of mine, built this house. It's a sad and poignant story. Oh, a love story? Yes, ma'am. Saddest of all, he was a wealthy old boy and fell in love with the famous Lily Logan, married her, bought the island and built this place for her. Sounds most romantic. Poor Johnny. He thought that by cutting her off from the rest of the world, without even a telephone as a means of communication, he could hold her. But of course, the fair Lily, tired of her ivory tower and escaped, Johnny went back to Wall Street, made a few more millions, and the place was sold. And here we are. Well, I have to find Mrs. Owen. The others will be up in a minute. It would be very rude to leave me here all by myself. Would it? Oh, well, I wonder where she is. She'll come along when she's ready. Or waiting, do you think I could have a drink? I'm very dry. Of course you could. to enjoy myself.
I think you are. I think we both are. Here's to you. You're very lovely.
Where's Mrs. Owen?
Mr. and Mrs. Owen won't be coming down from London until tomorrow, miss. I thought you knew.
Tomorrow?
I have here a list of the expected guests, miss, if you'd like to have it. Second butler is just arriving.
Thank you. How awful. I say, you will be sweet and healthy, won't you? I will go from your side. Thank you.
Seems silly to have brought only us in the first boat and all the rest in the second. That, I'm afraid, was design, not accident. Design? What do you mean?
I suggested to the boatman that there was no need to wait for any more passengers. That and 5 shillings soon started up the engine.
Oh, you shouldn't have done that.
Well, they're not a very exciting lot, are they?
I thought the young man was rather nice looking.
Callow. Definitely callow.
I
They're
suppose,
very young.
I suppose you think a woman in her 20s is more attractive?
I don't think, my darling, I know.
Wizard place you got here.
I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owens has been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow.
Oh, too bad.
Can I introduce Captain Lombard, Mr.
Marston. Anthony Marston.
Have a drink?
Ooh, thank you.
What we have? Gin, whiskey, sherry?
Whiskey, I think.
Wonderful place you have here.
I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owens has been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow.
Just say when.
Ooh, wizard.
How are you? Oh, my name's Lombard. Have a drink, Ms. Davis. Davis is the name. Ms. Davis, Mr. Marston. How are you, Mr. Marston? Pleased to meet you. Thank you, Miss Lombard. Don't mind if I do. Bit of a stiff climb up here, but whew, what a view and what a height. Reminds me of South Africa, this place. Does it? What part? Oh, Natal, Durban, you know. Really? Well, here's the conference. Do you, know South Africa? Me? No, that's where I'm from. That's my natal state. Interesting country, I should think. Finest country in the world, man. Gold, silver, diamonds, oranges, everything a man wants.
Oranges.
How do you do?
General Mackenzie, isn't it? I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen's been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow. Can I introduce Captain Lombard, Mr. Marston, and Miss...
Davis! Davis is the name. Whiskey and soda, sir?
Thanks. You in the service?
Formerly in the King's Rifles. Too tame for me at peacetime, I chucked in.
Pity. When?
Where is Mrs. Owen?
Miss Brent, isn't it?
I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owens has been detained in London, I'm afraid,
And won't be down until tomorrow.
Indeed. Extraordinary. Did she miss the train? I expect so. Won't you have something? Can I introduce Captain Lombard, Mr. Marston, General Mackenzie? I believe you all met on the boat.
Davis! Davis is the name. May I take your case? Do let me give you a drink? Dry martini, glass of sherry, whiskey and soda.
I never touch alcohol.
You never touch alcohol.
I believe you know, young lady, that you left us standing there on the wharf.
I'm afraid, Miss Brent, I was to blame for that. I wanted to...
It seems to me most extraordinary that Mrs. Owen should not be here to receive her guests.
Perhaps she's the kind of person who can't help missing trains.
That's what I reckon she is.
Not at all. Mrs. Owen isn't the least like that.
Perhaps it was her husband's fault.
She hasn't got a husband. You, I should like to go to my room.
Yes, of course. I'll take you there.
You'll find Mrs. Rogers upstairs, miss. She will show you across the room.
I'm afraid our host and hostess haven't arrived, ma'am. My name's Lombard.
Mine's Wargrave. How do you do?
Have a drink now?
Yes, please. A whiskey.
How are you? Davis, Davis is the name. I say, wonderful place you have here. Quite unique, as you say.
Quite unique.
Your drink, pal. Old Badger Berkeley rolled up yet?
Did you say?
Badger Berkeley. He roped me in for this show. When's he coming?
I don't think he's coming. Nobody by the name of Berkeley.
That dirty old double-crosser. He's let me down. Well, time.
Let's go explore.
How wizard!
Things are a bit at 6s and 7s, but the Owen's not turning up.
Tricky what? I say, wizard place for a holiday, what?
Aren't you going to sit down?
Well, to tell you the truth, you seem to be in my chair.
I am sorry. I didn't realize you were one of the family.
Well, it's not that exactly. To tell you the truth, I've never been here before. But, you see, I live in the Benton Club, have for the past 10 years, and my seat is just about there. Can't get used to sitting anywhere else.
It becomes a bit of a habit.
Yes, it certainly does. Thank you. Well, it's not quite as good as the club's. But it's a nice chair. Tell you the truth, I was a bit surprised when I got this invitation. I haven't had anything of the sort for well over 4 years. Very kind of them, I thought.
Can I take your keys, madam?
Tell me, is Lady Constance Cullington expected here?
Lady Constance Cullington? No, I don't believe so, madam. Unless she's coming down with the Owens.
Oh,
Allow me, miss. Can I take your keys, sir?
No, thanks. I'll unpack for myself.
Very well, sir. Dinner is at 8 o'clock. Shall I show you to your room?
Please.
There you are, ma'am. Uncle Rogers.
How are you, Davis? Thanks, Claire.
Mine's Armstrong.
Dr. Armstrong, I believe.
Yes.
Thought so. Never forget a face.
Don't tell me I've forgotten one of my patients.
No, but I will tell you in court giving expert evidence.
Oh, you're interested in the law?
Well, you see, I'm from South Africa. Naturally, legal processes in this country are bound to interest me.
Oh, yes, of course.
Have a drink?
No, thank you. I don't touch it.
Mind if I do? Mine's empty.
Not a bit.
Have a look around this island. Wonderful place, isn't it?
Wonderful. I was thinking as I was coming across the mainland what a haven of peace it is.
Too peaceful for some, I dare say.
Wonderfully restful. Wonderful for the nerves. I'm a nerve specialist, you know?
Yes, I know that. Did you come down by train?
No, I motored down. Dropped in on a patient on the way. Great improvement. Wonderful results.
Best of Isn't it? How long did it take you?
I didn't hurry. I never hurry. Some mannerless young fellow nearly drove me into the ditch near Amesbury. Shot past me at about 80 miles an hour. Disgraceful bit of driving. I'd like to have gotten his number.
Yes, and if only more people would take the numbers of these young road hogs.
Yes, you must excuse me. I must have a word with Mr. Owen.
Oh, but Mr. Owen isn't coming down!
You rang, miss?
Yes, take my hat, will you? What time's supper?
Supper is at 8 o'clock. Yes. In a quarter of an hour. I think formal dressing will be optional.
Got a good place here.
Yes, thank you, miss.
Been here long?
Just under a week, miss.
Is that all? So I don't suppose you know much about the crowd that's here?
No, miss.
All friends of the family?
I really couldn't say, miss.
Oh, well. Oh, Rogers.
Yes, miss?
Rogers, do you think you could set up some sandwiches and a bottle of beer in my room at night? I get an elephant appetite with this here.
I'll see what I can do, miss.
Rogers! You won't lose by it.
I'll show you, miss.
Good. I can do the wash and the brush up straight away.
There you are, Rogers. You ought to clean these dirty dishes. You're always leaving the dirty work to me. Here I am with a 4-course meal on my hands and nobody to help me with it. Who was that you were talking to anyway?
I think, Davis. Davis was the name. No class, if you ask me. And no money, either.
I don't like her. I don't much like any of them. More like that lot we had at the boarding house.
Davis gives out she's a millionaire or something. Ha! You should see her socks. Cheap as they make them.
Well, it's not treating us right. All these guests arriving today, and no maids until tomorrow? I mean, who do they think we are?
Oh, now, anyways, the money's good.
So it ought to be. Catch me going back into the service unless the money was good.
Well, the money is good, so what are you going on about?
Well, I can tell you this, Rogers. I'm not staying any place I'm put upon. Cooking's my business, and I'm a good cook.
First-rate old girl.
But the kitchen's my place, and the housework's none of my business. All these guests. I have half a mind to put on my hat and coat and walk right out that door and head right back to Plymouth.
You can't do that, old girl.
Why not? Who says I can't? I should like to know.
Because, old girl, you're on an island. Had you forgotten?
Yes. I don't know as I fancy being on an island.
Don't know that I do either, come to that. No slipping down to the pub or going to the pictures. Oh, well, it's double wages on account of the difficulties. And there's plenty of beer in the house.
That's all you ever think about. Beer.
You hurry on back to the kitchen or else your dinner will be spoiled.
I expect it'll be spoiled anyway. Everybody's going to be late. Wasted on them anyway. Thank goodness I didn't make a souffle. Oh, dinner won't be a moment, miss. Just a question of, dishing up.
Is everything all right, Rogers? Can you manage between the two of you?
Yes, thank you, miss. The missus and I know how to get it done.
What a lovely evening.
Yes, indeed. The weather seems very settled.
How plainly one can hear the sea. Pleasant sound. And hardly a breath of wind. And deliciously warm. Not like England at all.
Yes. I should have thought you might feel a little uncomfortable in that dress.
Oh, no.
It's rather tight, isn't it?
Oh, I don't think so.
You'll excuse me, my dear, but you're a young girl and you've got your living to earn.
Yes?
Well, a well-bred woman doesn't like her secretary to appear flashy. It looks, you know, as though you were trying to attract the attention of the opposite sex.
And would you say I do attract them?
That's beside the point. Any girl who deliberately sets out to get the attention of men isn't likely to keep her job long.
Ah, surely that depends on who she's working for.
Really, Miss Claythorne?
Aren't you being a little unkind?
Young people nowadays behave in the most disgusting fashion.
Disgusting?
Yes. Low-backed evening dresses. Lying half naked on the beaches. All this so-called sunbathing. An excuse for immodest conduct, nothing more. Familiarity, Christian names, drinking cocktails. And look at the young men nowadays. Decadent. Look at that young Marston. What good is he? And that Captain Lombard.
What do you object to in Captain Lombard? I should say she was a woman who led a very varied and interesting life.
The woman's an adventurer. All this younger generation's no good at all.
You don't like youth. I see.
What do you mean?
Oh, I was just remarking that you don't like young people.
And is there any reason why I should, pray?
Oh, no. But it seems to me that you must miss an awful lot.
You're very impertinent.
I'm sorry, but that's just what I think.
The world will never improve until we stamp out immodesty. What did you say?
Nothing.
You know, what about the old girl?
I think she looks rather like a tortoise.
You know, all judges innocent people to their death than anyone in England. Hello, you. Oh, you two know each other? Ms. Armstrong, Miss Claythorne. Armstrong and I have decided that the old girl? Yes, I heard you. And so did she, I think.
Laura. Miss Brent, isn't it? Yes, there's something I want to ask you about. Will you come out here?
A remarkably fine night.
Absolutely wizard car. A supercharged sports Barletti Carlotta. You don't see too many of them on the road. I could get over 100 out of her.
Did you
Yes, 208 miles, and I did it in a bit under 4 hours. Too many cars on the road, though, to keep it up. Touch 90 going over Salisbury Plain. Not too bad, eh?
I think you passed me on the road.
Oh, yeah?
You nearly drove me into the ditch.
Did I? Sorry.
If I had gotten your number, I'd have reported you.
Nah, you were footling along in the middle of the road. Footling? Me footling?
Oh, well, what about a drink?
Good idea. Will you have one, Miss Claythorne?
No, thank you. Good evening, Mrs. Owen.
Why, Mrs. Owen?
You make the most attractive wife for any wealthy businessman.
Do you always flirt so outrageously?
Always.
Well, now we know.
Tell me, what's old Miss Brett talking to the judge about? She tried to buttonhole him upstairs.
I don't know. Funny, she seemed definite that there wasn't a Mr. Owen.
You don't think that Mrs. Owen, that there isn't, that they are.
What, married, you mean?
Damn shame, we don't know each other. I could have given you a lift down.
Yes, that would have been grand.
Like to show you what I could do across the Salisbury Plain. But it seems damn silly. I've got an empty car.
Yes, but she likes the way she's going back.
Oh, look! Aren't they sweet, those 10 little China soldiers?
Oh, and there's the old nursery rhyme.
What are you talking about? What figures? What nursery rhyme?
10 little soldier boys went out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were 9. 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were 8.
8 little soldier boys traveling in Devon. One got left behind, and then there were 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence please. You are charged with these indictments that you did respectively and at diverse times commit the following. Georgia Armstrong, that you did cause the death of Louisa Mary Cleese. Winona Henrietta Blore, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Landor. Emily Caroline Brent, that you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that you killed Peter Ogilvie Hamilton. Phoebe Lombard, that you were guilty of the deaths of 21 men, members of your own troop. John Gordon Mackenzie, that you sent your wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, to his death. Anthony James Marston, that you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Combs. Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, that you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. Laura Jane Wargrave, that you were guilty of the murder of Edward Seaton. Prisoners at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense?
Nothing much. She's fainted, that's all. She'll be round in a minute. Get some brandy.
Rogers, get some brandy.
Who is that speaking? It sounded...
What's going on here? What sort of practical joke was that?
Where the devil did that voice come from? Ah, here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence please.
That's horrible. A disgraceful and heartless practical joke. So you think it's a joke, do you? What else could it be? At the moment, I'm not prepared to give an opinion.
But who the devil turned it on, though, and set it going?
You must inquire into that.
Oh, dear me. Oh, dear me.
Allow me, ma'am, if I may. Ethel, it's all right. All right to you here. Pull yourself together.
It's all right, Miss Rogers. Just a nasty turn.
Oh, did I faint, miss?
Yes.
Oh, it was that voice. That awful voice. Like a judgment. Oh,
Where's the brandy?
Oh.
Drink this, Mrs. Rogers.
start too. Wicked lies it was. I'd like to know.
Who was it to put that record on the gramophone? Was it you, Rogers?
I was just following orders, madam.
Whose orders?
Mr. Owens.
Let me get this quite clear. Mr. Owen's orders were what exactly?
I was to put a record on in the gramophone in the study. I would find the records in the drawer in there. I was to start with that one first. I thought it was to give you all some music.
A very remarkable story.
It's the truth. Before heaven, it's the truth. I didn't know what it was, not for a moment. There was a title on it. I thought it was a piece of music.
Is there a title? Title? Yes, ma'am. It's entitled Swan Song.
This whole thing is preposterous. Preposterous. The slinging around accusations like this. Something must be done about it. This Owen fellow, whoever he is.
Well, that's just it. Who is he?
We must look into that very carefully. Rogers, I should suggest that you get your wife to bed. Then come back here.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll give you a hand.
Will she be all right, Doctor?
Yes, quite all right.
I don't know about you, ma'am, but I feel I could use another drink.
I agree.
I'll get them.
Preposterous, that's what it is. Preposterous.
Whiskey for you, Mademoiselle? I should like a glass of water.
Yes, I'll get some. I could do with a little whiskey myself.
She'll be all right. I've given her a sedative. Now then, Doctor, you want a drink after all this? No, thank you. I don't touch it. Oh, so you said. You have this one, General.
Now then, let's get to the bottom of this. Rogers, tell me exactly what you know about this Mr. Owen.
He owns this island.
I am aware of that fact. What I need to ask is what you yourself know about the man.
I can't say, miss. You see, I've never seen him.
What do you mean you've never seen him?
My wife and I, we've only been here just under a week. We were engaged by letter through a registry office, the Regina in Plymouth.
That's a high-class phone. We can check on that.
Do you have the letter?
The letter engaging us. Yes, madam.
Go on with your story.
We arrived, just like the letter said, on the 4th. Everything was in order, plenty of food in the house, and everything very nice. Just need dusting and that.
What next?
Nothing, madam. That is, we received orders to prepare the rooms for a house party. 8. And then yesterday, by the post, we received notice that Mr. and Mrs. Owens might be detained, and if so, we was to try our best. And it gave the instructions about dinner and putting on the gramophone record. Yes, here's the letter.
Headed Rick's Hotel and typewritten.
Coronation machine number 5. Quite new. No defects. Inside paper, most common make. We shan't be getting much out of this. We might check it for fingerprints, but it's been handled too much.
Quite the little detective. Got some fancy Christian names, hasn't he? Woolick Norman Owen. Quite the mouthful.
I am obliged to you, Mr. Marston. You've drawn my attention to a curious and suggestive point. I think it's time for us to pool our information. It would be well for everybody to come forward with what they know about this Mr. Owen. We are all his guests. It would be profitable to say exactly how that came about.
There's something very peculiar about all this. I received a letter with a signature that was not very easy to read. It purported to be from a woman who I had met at a certain summer resort 2 or 3 years ago. I took the name to be Ogden. I'm quite certain I have never met or become friendly with anyone of the name Owen.
Do you have that letter, Miss Brent?
Yes, I'll fetch it for you.
Miss Claythorne.
I've never actually met Mrs. Owen. I wanted a holiday post and I applied to a secretarial agency. Miss Grenfell's in London. I was offered this post and accepted.
And you were never interviewed by your prospective employer?
No, this is the letter.
Soldier Island, Sticklehaven, Deccan. I received your name from Miss Grenfell's agency. I understand she knows you personally. I shall be glad to pay you the salary you ask and shall expect you to take up your duties on August 8th. The train is 12:10 from Paddington, and you will be met at Oak Ridge Station. I enclose £5 for expenses. Yours truly, Una Nancy Owen.
Don't actually know the Owens. Got a wire from a pal of mine, Badger Berkeley. Told me to roll up here. Surprised me a bit because I had an idea that the old horse had gone to Norway. I haven't kept the wire.
Thank you. Dr. Armstrong. Dr. Armstrong.
In the circumstances, I think I may admit my visit here is professional. Mr. Owen wrote me concerned about his wife's health, her nurse to be precise, and he wanted a report without her being alarmed, so he therefore suggested my visit be regarded as that of an ordinary guest.
And you had no former acquaintance with the family?
No.
Yet you had no hesitation in obeying their summons.
A colleague of mine was mentioned and a handsome fee suggested, and I was due for a holiday anyway.
Dear Miss Brent, I do hope you remember me. We were together at Bellhaven Guest House in August some years ago, and we seem to have so much in common. I'm starting a guest house of my own on an island off the coast of Devon. I think there really is an opening for a place where there is good plain English cooking and a nice old-fashioned type of person. None of this nudity and gramophones half the night. I shall be very glad if you could see your way to spending your summer holiday on Soldier Island. As my guest, of course, I suggest August 8th, 12:40 from Paddington to Oak Ridge. Yours sincerely, UN. Yes, the signature is slightly ambiguous.
I like the nudity touch.
Here is my own decoy letter from an old friend of mine, Lady Constance Culmington. She writes in her usual vague and coherent way, urges me to join her, and refers to her host and hostess in the vaguest of terms.
Look here, I just thought of something.
In a minute.
No, but
We will take things one at a time, Captain Lombard. General Mackenzie.
Oh. Got a letter from this fellow, Owen. Thought I must have met him sometime at the club. Mentioned some old cronies of mine who were to be here. Hoped I'd excuse informal invitation. Haven't kept the letter, I'm afraid.
And you, Captain Lombard.
same sort of thing. Invitation mentioning mutual friends. I haven't kept the letter either.
Just now, we had a somewhat disturbing incident. An apparently disembodied voice came out to us, calling us each by name, uttering certain definite accusations against us. We will deal with those accusations presently. At the moment, I'm interested in a minor point. Amongst the names received was one of Winona Henrietta Blore, but as far as we know, there is no Blore here. The name Davis was never mentioned. What do you have to say about that, Miss Davis?
Cat's out of the bag, it seems. I suppose I'd better mention my name isn't Davis.
Or Winona Henrietta Blore.
That's right. I'll add something to that. Not only are you here under a false name, Ms. Blore, but in addition this evening, you might notice that you're a first-class liar. You claim to have come from Nato, South Africa. I know South Africa and Nato well, and I'm prepared to swear that you've never set foot there in your life. You gentlemen have got me wrong. I'm an ex-CID woman. Copper. I've got my credentials and I can prove it. I run a detective agency in Plymouth. I was put onto this job.
By who?
By Mr. Owen. Sent along some very nice money for expenses and said I was to join the party posing as one of the guests. Also sent along a list of all your names and said I was to keep a close eye on you all.
Any reason given?
Said Mrs. Owen has got some valuable jewels. Mrs. Owen, my foot! I don't believe there is such a person.
Your conclusions are, I believe, justified. Ulick Norman Owen, Una Nancy Owen, each time that is to say, UN Owen. Or, by a slight stretch of fancy, unknown.
But it's fantastic, mad.
Yes, I've no doubt that we've been invited here by a madman. Probably dangerous, homicidal lunatic.
Oh my god!
Whoever it is who has enticed us here, that person has taken the time to learn a great deal about us. A very great deal. And from his knowledge, he has made certain definite accusations.
It's all very well to make accusations,
A pack of
but
damn lies.
it's iniquitous, wicked.
A
Slander.
lie. A wicked lie. I never did. Neither of us.
I wish to say this. Our other host accuses me of murdering one Edward Seaton. I remember Seaton perfectly well. He came up before me at trial in June 1930. He was charged with the murder of an elderly woman. He was ably defended and made a good impression on the jury in the witness box. However, on the evidence that he was certainly guilty, I summed up accordingly, and the jury brought in a verdict of guilty. An appeal was lodged on the grounds of misdirection. The appeal was dismissed, and the man was duly executed. I wish to say before you all that my conscience is perfectly clear. I did my duty and nothing more. I passed judgment on a rightly convicted murderer.
Did you know Seaton? Personally, I mean?
I knew nothing of Seaton previous to the trial.
The old girl's lying, I swear she's lying.
Fellow's a madman. Absolute madman. Got her bee in his bonnet. Got hold of the wrong end of the stick all round. Best really to leave this sort of thing unanswered. Still, I feel I ought to say, no truth. No truth, whatever he said about young Arthur Richmond. Richmond was one of my officers. I sent him on reconnaissance in 1917. He was killed. Also, like to say, resent very much. Slow on my wife, been dead a long time. Best woman in the world. Absolutely. Caesar's wife.
I've been thinking. John and Lucy Holmes. Must have been a couple kids I ran over near Cambridge. Beastly bad luck.
For them or for you?
Well, I was thinking, oh, for me. But of course, you're right, man. It was damned bad luck for them, too. Of course, it was a pure accident. They rushed out of some cottage or other. I had my license suspended for a year. Beastly nuisance. The speeding's all wrong, all wrong. Young men like you are a danger to the community. Well, I couldn't help it. Just an accident.
I would like to say a word, ma'am.
Go ahead, Rogers.
There was mention, ma'am, of me and Mrs. Rogers and of Miss Jennifer Brady. There is no word of truth to it. We were with Miss Brady when she died. Miss Brady was always ill, always from the moment we came to her. There was a storm the night she died. The telephone was out of order. We couldn't get the doctor to her. I went for him, on foot. But he got there too late. We'd done everything we could for her. Devoted to her we was. Anyone will tell you the same. There was never a word against us. Never a word.
Came into a little nice something at her death, I suppose. Didn't you?
Miss Brady left us a recognition and legacy of our faithful service. And why not, I should like to know.
And what about yourself, Miss BLORE?
What about me? Your name was on the list.
I know. Lander, you mean? That was the London and Commercial Bank robbery.
I remember the name, though the case never came up before me. Lander was convicted on your evidence. You were the head police officer on that case.
I was, my lady.
Lander was sentenced to penal servitude for life and died in Dartmoor a year later. He was a delicate man.
He was a crook, and it was him who put the night watchman out. The case was clear from the start.
You were complimented on your able handling of the case.
I got my promotion. I was only doing my duty. Convenient word, duty. What about you, Doctor?
I'm at a complete loss to understand the matter. The name meant nothing to me. What was it again? Clothes? I really don't remember having a patient of that name or it being connected with a death in any way. The thing's a complete mystery to me.
course, was a long time ago. Perhaps it was one of my operation cases in hospital. They come in too late, so many of those people, and then when the patient dies, it's always the surgeon's fault.
And then it's better to take up nerve cases and give up surgery. Some, of course, give up drink.
I protest. You have no right to say such things about me. I never touch alcohol.
My dear fellow, I never suggested you did. Anyway, Mr. Unknown is the only one who knows all the facts.
Miss CLAYTHORNE.
I was nursery governess to Peter Hamilton. We were in Cornwall for the summer. He was forbidden to swim out far. One day, when my attention was distracted, he started off. As soon as I saw what happened, I swam after him. I couldn't get there in time.
Was there an inquest?
Yes, the coroner exonerated me. His mother didn't blame me either.
Thank you. Miss Brent.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You reserve your defense.
There is no question of defense. I have always acted according to the dictates of my conscience.
Well, what a law-abiding lot we seem to be. Myself accepted.
We are waiting for your story, Captain Lombard.
I haven't got a story.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry to disappoint all of you. It's just that I plead guilty. It's perfectly true. I left those men alone in the bush. Matter of self-preservation.
You abandoned your men.
Not quite the act of a proper gentleman, I'm afraid. But after all, self-preservation is a man's first instinct.
Our inquiry rests there. Now, Rogers, tell me, who is here on this island besides ourselves and you and your wife?
Nobody, ma'am. Nobody at all.
You're sure of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Oh, wait, Rogers. I'm not yet certain as to the purpose of our unknown host in gathering us all here. But in my opinion, he's not sane in the accepted sense of the word. In my opinion, we should leave here as soon as possible. I suggest that we leave here tonight.
I beg your pardon, ma'am, but there's no boat on this island.
No boat at all?
No, ma'am.
Why don't you telephone to the mainland?
There's no telephone. NARRACOTT. He comes over every morning, and he brings the milk and the bread and the post and the papers, and takes the orders.
A bit unsporting. What? I to ferret out the mystery before we go. Whole thing's like a detective story, positively thrilling.
In my time of life, I have no desire for thrills.
The legal life's narrowing. I'm all for crime. Here's to it! My God, he's dead!
Dead? You mean the fellow just choked out and died?
You can call it choking if you like. He died of asphyxiation right enough.
Never knew a man could die like that. Just of a choking fit.
Oh, in the middle of life, we are in death. A man doesn't die of a mere choking fit, General Mackenzie. Marston's death is not what we call a natural death.
Was there something in the whiskey?
Yes, by the smell of it, cyanide. Probably potassium cyanide. Stuff acts pretty well instantaneously.
Then he must have put the stuff in the glass himself.
Suicide, eh? That's a rum go. You wouldn't think he'd commit suicide. He was so alive. He was enjoying himself. Oh, look. Here's one of the little soldiers off the mantelpiece. Broken.
been up to the top. No sign of that boat anywhere.
It's very early still.
Oh, I know. Still, the fellow brings the milk and the bread and all that. I should have thought he'd have got here before this. No sign of breakfast yet. Where's that fellow Rogers?
Oh, don't bother about breakfast.
How's the weather looking?
Wind's freshened a bit. Rather mackerel sky. Old boy on the train said yesterday we were due for some dirty weather. Shouldn't wonder if he wasn't right.
I wish that boat would come. The sooner we get off this island, the better. It's absurd not keeping a boat on the island.
No proper harbor. If a wind were to come in from the southeast, the boat would be blown to pieces against the rocks.
But a boat would always be able to make us from the mainland.
Oh, no, Miss Brent. That's just what it wasn't.
Do you mean to say we should be cut off from the land?
Yes. Condensed milk, Rivita, and tin stuff till the scale blows itself out. You needn't worry, though. The sea's only a bit choppy.
Oh, I think the pleasures of living on an island are rather overrated.
I wonder if that boat's ever gonna come. Annoying how this house is built slapped up against the cliff. You can't even see the mainland until you reach the top. Shall we go up there again?
It's no good, Doctor. A washpot never boils. There wasn't any sign of a boat putting out when we were up there just now.
What can this man NARRACOTT be doing?
They're all like that in Devon. Never hurry themselves.
And what about Rogers? He ought to be about.
You ask me, Master Rogers was pretty badly rattled last night.
Yes, I know.
Got the
Ghastly, the whole thing.
got the wind up properly. I'd take an even bet him and his wife did do that old lady in.
You really think so?
Well, I've never seen a man more scared. Guilty as hell, I say. I say, suppose he's hopped it.
Who? Rogers? But there's no way he could. There's no boat on the island. You just said so yourself.
Yes, but I've been thinking. We've only Rogers' word for that. Suppose there is one and he's nipped off in it first thing.
Oh, no. He wouldn't be allowed to leave the island.
Sleep well, General.
I dreamed. Yes, I dreamed.
I don't know that.
I dreamed of Leslie. My wife, you know.
Oh, well, yes, I wish NARRACOTT would come.
Who was NARRACOTT?
The bloke that brought us over yesterday afternoon.
Was it only yesterday?
Yes, I feel like that too. Batty gramophone records, suicides. It's all about a man can take. I shan't be sorry to see the back of Soldier Island, I give you my word.
So you don't understand. How strange.
What's that, Zhao?
I don't like the look of him.
I reckon young Marston's suicide must have been a pretty bad shock to him. He looks years older.
Where is that young fellow now?
In the study. But I'm there myself.
Dr. Armstrong, I suppose it was suicide?
What else could it be?
I don't know, but suicide?
Listen, I had a funny thought last night. This Mr. Unknown Owen, suppose he's on this island. Rogers may know, or he may have told him to say so. Pretty nasty thought, isn't it?
But would anyone have been able to tamper with Marston's drink without our seeing?
Well, it was standing up there. Anyone could have slipped a dollop of cyanide in it if they wanted to.
But that...
Oh, there you are, miss. I've been all over looking for you. Would you come take a look at my wife, miss?
Yes, of course. Is she feeling under the weather still?
She's...
You all won't leave the island without me.
I wish that boat would come. I hate this place.
Yes, I think the sooner we can get in touch with the police, the better.
The police?
The police have to be called in the case of suicide, you know, Miss Claythorne.
Oh, yes, of course.
What is going on here? No sign of any breakfast.
Are you hungry, General? Feeling like breakfast?
Leslie, my dear.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm VERA Claythorne.
Of course. Forgive me. I took you for my wife. I was waiting for her, you see.
But I thought your wife was dead long ago.
Yes. I thought so too. I was wrong. She's here on this island.
No.
Bit late, isn't it?
Yes.
Morning. Now, you and I have got to swim before breakfast. Too bad all this. Too bad you overslept yourself.
You must have good nerves to sleep like that.
Nothing makes me lose my sleep.
Didn't dream of your former soldiers by any chance, did you?
No.
Did you dream of convicts on Dartmoor? Look here, I don't think that's funny, Captain Lombard.
Well, you started it, you know. I'm hungry. What about breakfast?
The whole domestic staff seems to have gone on strike.
Oh, well, we can always forage for ourselves. Hello, that's strange. What is it? You remember we found one of these little fellows smashed last night?
Yeah, that ought to leave 9.
That ought to leave 9. I was sure there were 10 of them here when we arrived. Well, there are only 8. So there are. I think it's strange, don't you?
Probably only 9 to begin with. We assumed there were 10 because of the rhyme.
Hello, Armstrong. What's the matter?
Mrs. Rogers is dead.
No! How?
Died in her sleep. Rogers thought she was still under the influence of that sleeping draught that he gave her and came down without disturbing her. He lit the kitchen fire and then did this room, and as she hadn't appeared, he went back up and was alarmed by the look of her, so he came hunting for me. She's been dead for about 5 hours, I should say.
What was it, heart?
Impossible to say, might have been.
After all, she had a pretty bad shock last night.
Yes.
It was poison, I suppose, Doctor?
It's perfectly possible.
With the same stuff as young Marston?
No, it would have had to have been some narcotic or hypnotic, one of the barbiturates or chloral, something like that.
You gave her sleeping powders last night, didn't you?
I gave her a mild dose of luminol.
Didn't give her too much, did you?
Certainly not what you mean.
All right, no, that's, I just thought perhaps if she had a weak heart.
The amount I gave her could not have hurt anyone.
Then what exactly did happen?
This were, for instance, one of your private patients. What would have been your procedure?
Well, without knowing of any of her prior health, I certainly could not give a certificate.
She was a very nervous-looking creature, and she had a bad fright last night. Perhaps it was heart failure?
Her heart certainly failed to beat, but what caused it to fail?
Conscience.
What exactly do you mean by that, Miss Brent?
You all heard. She was accused, together with her husband, of having deliberately murdered a former employer. An old lady.
And you believe that's true, Miss Brent?
Certainly. You all saw her last night. She broke down completely and fainted. The shock of having her wickedness brought home to her was too much for her to bear. She literally died of fear.
That's a possible theory, but one cannot adopt it without more knowledge of her health. If she had a latent cardiac weakness...
Call it, if you prefer, an act of God.
Oh, no, Miss Brent.
You regard it as impossible that a sinner be struck down by the wrath of God? I do not.
My dear lady, in my experience of ill-doing, Providence leaves the work of conviction and chastisement to us mortals, and the process is often fraught with difficulties. There are no shortcuts.
Let's be practical here. What did the woman have to eat and drink last night after she went to bed?
Nothing.
Nothing at all? Not a cup of tea? Or a glass of water? I'll bet you she had a cup of tea. That sort always does.
Rogers assured me she had nothing whatsoever.
Oh, he might say so.
So that's your idea?
Well, why not? You all heard that accusation last night. What if it's true? Miss Brent thinks it is for one. Rogers and his missus did the old lady in. They're feeling quite safe and happy about it.
Happy?
Well, they know there's no immediate danger to them. Then, last night, some lunatic goes and spills the beans. What happens? It's that woman who cracks. Goes to pieces. Did you see him hanging around her last night when she was coming to? Not a husbandly solicitude. Not on your sweet plate. She was like a cat on hot bricks. And that's the position. They've done a murder and gotten away with it. But if it's all going to be raked up again now, it's that woman who will give the show away. She ain't got the nerve to brazen it out. She's a living danger to her husband. That's what she is. And him, he's all right. He'll go online till the cows come home, but he can't be sure of her. So what does he do? He slips a little something into a nice cup of tea, and when she's had it, he washes up the cup and saucer and tells the doctor 8 had 9.
No, that's impossible. A man wouldn't do that, not to his wife.
You'd be surprised, Miss Claythorne, what some husbands might do.
Excuse me, miss. I'm getting on with breakfast. I'm not much of a hand as a cook, I'm afraid. It's lunch that's worrying me. Would cold tongue and gelatine be satisfactory? And I could manage some fried potatoes. And there's tinned fruit and cheese and biscuits.
That would be fine, Rogers.
Lunch? Lunch? We shan't be here for lunch. And when the hell is that boat coming?
Miss BLORE!
What?
You'll pardon me, miss, but the boat won't be coming.
What?
Fred NARRACOTT. He's always here before 8. Is there anything else you require, miss?
No, thank you, Rogers.
And it isn't Rogers. His wife lying dead upstairs, and there he's making breakfast and calmly talking about lunch. Now he says the boat won't be coming. How the hell does he know?
Miss BLORE!
What?
Oh, don't you see? He's dazed. He's carrying on automatically as a good servant would. It's pathetic, really.
He's pulling a fast one, if you ask me.
The really significant thing is the failure of the boat to arrive. It means that we are being deliberately cut off from help.
That's very little time. Very little time.
What's that, General?
Did I stutter? Very little time. We mustn't waste it by talking about things that don't matter.
What do you think NARRACOTT hasn't turned up? I think the ubiquitous Mr. Owen has given orders.
You mean told him it's a practical joke or something of that kind? He'd never fall for that. Oh, would he? Why not? Soldier Island's got a reputation for people having crazy parties. It's just one more crazy idea, that's all. NARRACOTT knows there's plenty of food and drink on the island, probably thinks it's all a huge joke.
But couldn't we light a bonfire up on top of the island so that they'd see it?
That's probably been provided against. All signals are to be ignored.
But can't we do something?
Oh yes, we can do something. We can find the funny gentleman who staged the little joke, Mr. Unknown Owen. I'll bet anything you like he's somewhere on this island. The sooner we get a hold of him, the better, because in my opinion, he's mad as a hatter and as dangerous as a rattlesnake.
Hardly a good simile, Captain Lombard. A rattlesnake at least gives warning of its approach.
Warning. By yes, that's our warning! 10 little soldier boys! There were 10 of us before NARRACOTT went, weren't there? 10 little soldier boys going up to dine. One went and choked himself. Marston choked himself, didn't he? And the 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself. Overslept himself? The last one fits Mrs. Rogers rather well, doesn't it?
You don't think... Do you mean that he wants to kill us all?
Yes, I think he does. And each one fits with the rhyme?
No, it's impossible. It has to be coincidence. It's coincidence.
Only 8 little soldier boys here. Although I suppose that's a coincidence, too. What do you think, Lore?
I don't like it. But there's no one on the island.
I'm not so sure of that.
This is terrible.
None of us will ever leave this island.
Can't somebody shut up, Grandma? Don't you agree with me, Madam Laura?
Up to a point. Yes.
Then the sooner we get to work, the better. Come on, Armstrong. Come on, Laura. We'll make short work of it. I'm ready. Nobody's got a revolver on them by any chance. I suppose that's too much to hope for. That Golan always carry that around with him? Usually. I've been in some tight places, you know. Oh! Well, you've probably never been in a tighter space than you are today. There's a homicidal maniac running loose on this island. He's probably got a whole arsenal on him, and he'll use it.
That's where you might be wrong, BLORE. Many homicidal maniacs are quiet, unassuming people.
Delightful fellows.
You wouldn't think there's anything wrong with them.
If Mr. Owen does turn out to be one of that kind, we'll leave him to you, Doctor. Now then, let's make a start. I say Lombard Church to the house while we do the island. Right, house ought to be easy. No slime panels or secret doors. Mind it doesn't get to you before you get to him. Don't worry. But you two had better stick together, remember? One got left behind. Come on, Armstrong.
Quite an energetic young woman, that Captain Lombard.
Don't
she's right. If there's someone hiding on this island, they'll be bound to find him. It's practically bare rock. I think this problem needs brains to solve it, rather than brawn.
Where are you going?
I'm going to sit in the sun and think, my dear young lady.
Where did I put that skein of wool?
Did you leave it upstairs? Shall I go see if I can find it?
No, I'll go. I know where it's likely to be.
I'm glad Captain Lombard has got a revolver.
They're all wasting time. Wasting time.
Do you think so?
Yes. It's much better to sit quietly and wait.
Wait for what?
For the end, of course. I wish I could find Leslie.
Your wife?
Yes. I wish you'd known her. She was so pretty, so bright.
Was she?
I loved her very much. Of course, I was a lot older than she was. She was only 27. Arthur Richmond was 26. He was my ADC. Leslie liked him. Then they used to talk of music and plays together, and she teased him and made fun of him. I was pleased. I thought she took a motherly interest in the boy. Damn fool, wasn't I? No fool like an old fool. Exactly like a book, the way I found out. When I was in France, she wrote to both of us. But she put the letters in the wrong envelopes, so I knew.
Oh, no.
It's all right, my dear. It's a long time ago. But, you see, I loved her. And believed in her. I never said anything to him. I let it all grow inside. Here. A slow, murderous rage. Damned young hypocrite. I'd liked the boy. Trusted him.
I wonder what the others are doing.
I sent him to his death.
Oh.
It was quite easy. Mistakes were being made all the time. All anyone could say was that I lost my nerve a bit, made a blunder, sacrificed one of my best men. Yes, it was quite easy. Leslie never knew. I never told her I found out. We went on as usual. But somehow, nothing was quite real anymore. She died of pneumonia. She had a heart-shaped face and gray eyes and brown hair that curled.
Don't.
Yes, I suppose, in a way. It was murder. Curious murder. And I'd always been such a law-abiding man. Didn't feel like it at the time. Serves him damn well right, that's what I thought. But after, well, you know, don't you?
What do you mean?
You don't seem to understand. I thought you would. I thought you'd be glad, too, that the end was coming. We're all going to die, you know.
I don't know.
You're still young. You haven't gotten to that yet. The relief. The blessed relief. When you know that you've done with it all. That you haven't got to carry the burden any longer.
General.
Don't talk to me that way. You don't understand. I want to sit here and wait. Wait for Leslie to come for me.
I'm frightened. Oh, I'm frightened! All correct. No secret passage. One corpse.
Don't!
I say, you do look low. How about a drink to stow your nerves?
A drink? 2 corpses in the house at 9 o'clock in the morning, and all you say, have a drink? An old man going quite crackers, have a drink? 10 people accused of murder, that's all right, just have a drink. Everything's fine so long as you have a drink.
All right. Stay thirsty.
Oh, you're nothing but a waster, an adventurer. You make me tired.
I say, you are head up. What's the matter, my sweet?
I'm not your sweet.
I'm sorry. Rather thought you were.
Well, you can think again.
Come now. You know you don't really feel like that. We've got something in common, you and I. Rogues and murderers can't fall out.
Rogues and murderers?
Hey, you don't like the company of rogues and murderers, and you won't have a drink. I'll go and finish it.
Unpleasant young woman. I can't find it anywhere. Is anything the matter?
I'm worried about the general. He really is ill, I think.
Looking out for the boat, General! His sin has found him out.
Oh, don't.
One must face facts.
Can any of us afford to throw stones?
Even if his wife was no better than she should be, and she must have been a depraved woman, he had no right to take judgment into his own hands.
What about Beatrice Taylor?
Who?
That was the name, wasn't it?
You are referring to that absurd accusation about myself?
Yes.
Now that we are alone, I have no objection to telling you the facts of the case. Indeed, I should like you to hear them. It was not a fit subject to discuss before gentlemen, so naturally I refused to say anything last night. That girl, Beatrice Taylor, was in my service. I was very much deceived in her. She had nice manners and was clean and willing. I was very pleased with her. Of course, all that was the sheerest hypocrisy. She was a loose girl with no morals. Disgusting. It was some time before I found out she was what they call in trouble. It was a great shock to me. Her parents were decent folk, too, who had brought her up strictly. I'm glad to say they did not condone her behavior.
What happened?
Naturally, I refused to keep her an hour under my roof. No one shall ever say I condoned immorality.
Did she drown herself?
Yes,
How old was she?
17.
Only 17?
Quite old enough to know how to behave. I told her what a low, depraved thing she was. I told her she was beyond the pale, and no decent person would ever take her into their house. I told her her child would be the child of sin, and would be branded all its life, and the man would naturally not dream of marrying her. I told her I felt soiled by ever having her under my roof.
You told a girl of 17 all that?
Yes. I'm glad to say I broke her down utterly. I've no patience with this indulgence towards sin.
And then I suppose you turned her out of the house?
Of course.
And she didn't dare go home. What did you feel like when you found she drowned herself?
Feel like?
Yes. Didn't you blame yourself?
Certainly not. I have nothing with which to reproach myself.
I believe you really feel like that.
the judgment he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hand.
Breakfast is ready.
Be quiet. The wicked shall be turned into hell.
Do you know where the others are, ma'am? Breakfast is ready.
Madam Laura Wargrave is sitting out there in the sun. Dr. Armstrong and Miss War are out searching the island. I shouldn't bother about that.
Shall not the isle shake at the sound of fall, when the wounded cry, and the slaughter is made in the midst of thee?
Shall we go in?
I don't feel like eating.
Breakfast is ready.
Then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones, and lay away their robes, and put off their broidered garments. They shall clothe themselves in trembling, and shall sit upon the ground, and tremble at every moment, and be astonished at thee.
Reading aloud, Miss Brent?
It is my custom to read a portion of the Bible every day.
Very good habit, I'm sure. What luck did you have?
Well, there's no cover on the island, no caves, no one can hide anywhere.
That's right. What about the house, Lombard? No one. I'll stake my life there's no one in the house but ourselves. We've been over it from attic to cellar.
Breakfast is getting cold.
Breakfast. Ah, come on, Blore. You've been yapping for breakfast ever since you got up. Let's eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die, or who knows, perhaps even today.
You ought to be ashamed of such levity, Captain Lombard.
Come on, General, we can't have this. Breakfast, I say, sir. Good God. I'll go left behind. There's a knife in Mackenzie's back. What is this? He's dead. He's dead. But he can't be. Who could have done it? There's only us on this island.
Exactly, my dear detective. Don't you realize that this clever and cunning criminal is always comfortably one stage ahead of us? That he knows what we are going to do and makes his plans accordingly? There's only one place, you know, where a murderer could hide and have a reasonable chance of getting away with it.
One place. Where?
Here in this room. Mr. Owen is one of us.
She's the one, and we must watch her.
Really? I formed the opinion that your suspicions were in a different quarter.
Yes, but I've changed my mind, and I'll tell you why. She's not scared, and she's the only one who isn't. Why? Because she knows she's in no danger. Hush.
We made some coffee. It's cold in here.
You would hardly believe it when you think what a beautiful day it was this morning.
Captain Lombard and Rogers still out?
Yes. No boat will put out in this, and it couldn't land anyway.
Miss Brent, allow me. You were right to insist on our going to lunch and drinking some brandy with it. I feel better. The court always adjourns for lunch.
All the same, it's a nightmare. It seems as though it can't be true. What are we going to do about it?
We must hold an informal court of inquiry. We may be able to eliminate at least some innocent people.
You haven't got a hunch of any kind, have you, Miss Claythorne?
If Miss Claythorne were to suspect one of us three, it is a rather awkward question.
I'm sure it isn't any of you. If you ask me who I'd suspected, I'd say Dr. Armstrong.
Armstrong?
Yes, because don't you see, she's had far and away the best opportunity to kill Mrs. Rogers. Terribly easy for her as a doctor to give her an overdose of sleeping stuff.
That's true, but someone else gave her brandy, remember?
Her husband had a good opportunity at administering the drug.
It isn't Rogers. He got the brains for all this stunt. Nor the money. Besides, you can see he's scared stiff. Open up! Come in!
restraint in the face of danger is nothing short of heroic.
I do not, of course, profess to be a weather prophet, but I should say that it is very unlikely that a boat would reach us, even if it knew of our plight in under 24 hours. Even if the wind drops, the sea still has to go down.
You're awfully wet.
Is anyone a swimmer? Would it be possible to swim to the mainland?
It's over a mile, and in this sea you'd be dashed against the rocks and drowned.
Drowned? Drowned in the pond.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Miss Brent.
After dinner nap.
It's terribly cold in here.
Shall I light a fire, miss?
That would be good, Rogers.
Very sound scheme, Rogers.
Oh, pardon me, but does anybody know what's become of the top floor bathroom curtain?
Really, Rogers? Are you going fast too?
The bathroom curtain?
Yes, miss. Scarlet oil silk. It's missing.
Anybody seen a scarlet oil silk curtain? No good, I'm afraid, Rogers.
It doesn't matter, miss. Only, I thought its strength was all.
Everything on this island is strange.
I'll fetch a few sticks and a few knobs of coal and get a nice fire going.
I wonder if he would like some hot coffee.
He's rather wet.
Rogers?
What's become of Armstrong?
She went up to her room to rest.
Somebody's probably batted her one by now.
I expect she had the good sense to bolt her door.
It won't be so easy now that we're all on our guard.
I advise you, Miss Blore, not to be too confident. I should like shortly to propose certain measures of safety, which I think we should all adopt.
Against whom?
Against each other. We are all in grave danger. Out of the 10 people who came, 3 are definitely cleared. That leaves 7 of us. 7 little soldier boys.
One of whom is a bogus little soldier boy.
Exactly.
Well, in spite of what Miss Claythorne said just now, I'd say that you, Madam Laura, and Dr. Armstrong are above suspicion. She's a well-known doctor, and you're known all over England.
Miss Blore, that proves nothing at all. Judges have gone mad before, so have doctors. So have policemen.
Here, here. Well, does he want some coffee?
He'd rather have a nice cup of tea. What about Dr. Armstrong? Do you think we ought to take her up a cup?
I'll take it to her.
No, I'll take it. I want to change.
Yes, you should. You'll catch cold.
I think Dr. Armstrong might prefer to see me. She might not admit you, Captain Lombard. She might be afraid of your revolver.
Ah, that revolver. Look here, I want to word with you about that.
Do go and change.
No. What were you going to say? I'd like to know why you brought a revolver down here on what's supposed to be a little social visit.
You do you?
I've led a rather adventurous life. I've gotten into the habit of taking a revolver about with me. I've been in a jam once or twice. It's a pleasant feeling to have a gun handy, don't you agree? We don't carry them. Now then, I want the truth about this gun. What a damn suspicious dame you are, Blore. I know a fishy story when I hear one.
It's about that revolver. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Well, I got a letter asking me to come here as the guest of Mr. and Mrs. Owen. It would be worth my while. The writer said he'd heard I got a reputation for being a good woman in a tight place. There might be some danger, but I'd be all right if I kept my eyes open. I'd never fallen for that. Well, I did. I was bored. Bored back in this damn country. It wasn't an intriguing proposition, you must admit. Too vague for my liking. That was the whole charm. It aroused my curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat. Yes, quite.
Oh, do go and change, please.
I'm going, my sweet, I'm going. The maternal instinct, I think it's called.
Don't be ridiculous.
That's a tall story. If it's true, why didn't she tell it to us last night?
Perhaps she thought this was exactly the emergency for which she'd been prepared.
Perhaps it is.
I hardly think so. It was just Mr. Owen's little bit of cheese to get her in the trap with the rest of us. He knew her well enough to rely on her curiosity.
If it's true, he's a wrong in that man. I wouldn't trust him a yard.
Are you such a good judge of truth?
We must get out of here before it's too late.
The one thing we must not do is give in to our nerves.
Sorry, rather a case of physician heal thyself. I have been overworked and run down.
Sleeping badly.
Yes, I've been having dreams, hospital operations, knife at my throat.
Real nightmares.
Yes. Do you ever dream you're in court sentencing a man to death?
Are you by chance referring to a man named Edward Seaton? I assure you, I should lose no sleep over the death of Edward Seaton, a particularly cruel and cold-blooded murderer. The jury liked him. They were inclined to let him off. I could see. However, I cooked Seaton's goose.
Oh, cold in here, isn't it?
I wish Rogers would hurry up.
Yes, where is Rogers? He's been a while.
He said he got to get some sticks.
Sticks. Sticks, my God, sticks!
My God,
Is it a little lot or there are only 6?
there are only 5.
5?
Rogers and Lombard? Oh no, not Phoebe!
Rogers! 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 Where the hell is blown off to like a madman?
Oh, Phoebe, have you seen Rogers?
No, why should I?
There are 2 soldiers gone.
2? I thought it was you.
What is it?
In the scullery. Is he? Oh, yes, he's dead, all right. How? With an axe. Somebody must have come up behind him whilst he was bent over the wood box.
One chopped himself in half. And then there were 6.
Vera, stop it! Vera, stop it! She'll be all right. All right. What's next, ladies? Bees? Do they keep bees on the island? Well, that's the next verse, isn't it? 6 little soldier boys playing with a hive. A bumblebee stung one, and then there were 5. The bumblebee stung one. We all look pretty spry. Anything wrong with any of us? You don't think? Hypodermic syringe.
The modern bee sting.
While she was sitting there, one of us.
One of us.
Which of us? Have to relieve the gloom. Damn, that electric plant running down. Let's play a nice round game. How about inventing one called Suspicions? A suspects B, B suspects C, and so on. Let's start with BLORE. It's not hard to guess who BLORE suspects. Sticks out a mile on your fancy R&I BLORE.
I wouldn't say no to that.
You're quite wrong, you know. Abstract justice isn't my line. If I committed murder, there would have to be something in it for me. All I say is you've acted suspiciously since the beginning. You've told 2 different stories. You came here with a revolver. Now you say you've lost it. I have lost it.
That's a likely story.
What do you think I've done with it? I suggested myself that you should search me.
Ugh, you haven't got it on you. But you know where it is.
You mean I've cached it, ready for the next time?
I shouldn't be surprised.
Why don't you use your brains, BLORE? If I wanted to, I could have shot the lot of you by this time. Pop, 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 pop.
Yes, but that's not the big idea.
The crazy touch? My God, I'm saying enough. The doctor says there are lunatics. You never know we're lunatics. That's true enough, I'd say.
We can't just sit here doing nothing. We have to, there can be something that we can do. We could light a bonfire.
In this weather,
It is, I am afraid, a question of time and patience. The weather will clear, then we can do something. Light a bonfire, heliograph, signal.
A question of time? Time? We can't afford time. We shall all be dead.
I think the precautions we have now adopted will be adequate.
I tell you, we shall all be dead. All but one. She'll think of something. She's thinking now.
Poor Louise.
me I was drunk when I operated. Quite a simple operation, really. My hand was shaking all over the place. God, I still remember her, a large, heavy, countrified woman, and I killed her.
I was right. That's how it was.
Sister knew. She was loyal to me or to the hospital. I gave up drink, gave it up altogether, and then I went in for a study of nervous diseases.
Until Mr. Unknown Owen. And down will come Cradle and Doctor and all.
Will you stop it with your damnable sneering and joking?
Ladies, please, we cannot afford to quarrel.
That's okay by me. I apologize.
It's this terrible inactivity that gets on my nerves.
We are adopting, I feel convinced, the only measures possible, so long as we remain together, all in sight of one another. A repetition of the tragedies that have occurred must be impossible. We've all submitted to a search. Therefore, we know that no one is armed with either knives or a firearm, nor does anyone have cyanide or any other drug about their person. If we remain, as I said, all within sight of one another, nothing can happen to us.
But we can't go on like this. We shall need food, sleep.
That's what I said.
Obviously, the murderer's only chance is to get one of us detached from the rest. So long as we prevent that, we are safe.
Safe?
You're very silent, Vera.
There isn't anything to say.
I wonder what the time is. It's awful, this waiting for the hours to go by and feeling that they may be the last. What is the time?
8:30.
Is that all?
Pretty awful like this. How are the candles holding out?
There's a whole packet of them. Storm's died down a bit. What do you think, madam?
Perhaps we mustn't be too optimistic.
Murderer's got everything on her side. Even the weather seems to be falling in with her plans.
What about something to eat? If you like, I'll go open some tongue and make some coffee. But you four stay where you are. That's right, isn't it?
Not quite. You see, Miss Claythorne, it would be rather inadvisable for us to eat or drink anything that you had prepared out of our sight.
Oh, you don't like me, do you?
It's not a question of likes or dislikes.
You know, there are very few tricks that get past you, Madame Laura. You know, if you won't be offended at my saying so, you're my fancy.
It is hardly the time, Captain Lombard, for any of us to indulge in the luxury of taking offense.
I don't think it's BLORE. I may be wrong, but I can't believe you've got enough imagination for this job. All I can say is if you are the criminal, take my hat off to you. You're a damn fine actor.
Thank you for nothing.
And I don't think it's the doctor. I don't believe she's got the nerve. You've got plenty of nerve, Vera. On the other hand, you strike me as eminently sane, therefore. You'd only do murder if you had a thoroughly good motive.
Thank you.
I've thought of something. Splendid. Animal, vegetable, or mineral.
She says she's a police officer, but we've no proof of that. She only told us so after the gramophone gave us her name. Before, she claimed she was a South African millionaire. Perhaps the police officer is another impersonation. What do we know about her? Nothing.
She's a policeman, all right. Look at her feet.
That's enough from you, Miss Lombard.
Well, now we know where we are. By the way, Miss Claythorne suspects you, Doctor. Oh, yes, she does. Haven't you seen her shoot a dirty look from time to time? It all works out quite prettily. I suspect Madame Laura, BLORE suspects me, Armstrong suspects BLORE. What about you, Madam?
Quite early on, I formed a certain conclusion. It seemed to me that everything that had occurred pointed quite unmistakably to one person. And I am still of the same opinion. Which one? Well, no. I think it would be inadvisable to say that person's name at the present time.
Inadvisable in the public interest.
Exactly.
What about the food idea?
We should stay here. We're safe here.
I can't say I'm hungry.
I'm not ravenous myself. You can go and have a guzzle yourself, BLORE.
Tell you what, say I go in and bring in a tin of biscuits.
Good idea. Oh, BLORE!
Eh?
An unopened tin, BLORE?
dear young lady. That's why I'm staying right here.
But I'm casting you in the role of murderer, not victim.
The term can be applied to a boxer.
Maybe we'll start a free fight. That seems to let you out, my dear.
It's that awful rhyme. Keeps going round and round in my head. I think I'll remember it till I die.
No.
Miss Floor's a long time.
I expect the big bad wolf got her.
I have asked you once before, Captain Lombard, to try and restrain your rather peculiar sense of humor.
Sorry, madam. Must be a form of nervousness.
Put your hands up. Searcher. No, thank you.
Come now, you've had no dinner.
I couldn't eat anything.
I warn you, more will wolf the lot.
I don't see why you'd be so funny about it. Starving ourselves won't do us any good. How are we all for cigarettes?
Haven't got any.
I've run out too.
Fortunately, I'm a pipe smoker.
I've got a whole box upstairs in my suitcase.
I'll go get them.
See that you four stay where you are.
Not bad, these biscuits. What are they, cheese? Cheese and celery? That girl ought to have some.
Her nerves are in a bad state.
I don't know, I agree with you there, Doctor. Miss Claythorne strikes me as a very cool and resourceful young lady. Quite remarkably so.
So that's your idea, is it? That she's the guilty party?
Hardly likely.
You and I, Doctor, see women from slightly different angles.
What does anyone say to a spot of whiskey? Good idea, provided we tackle an unopened bottle. VERA! Oh my God, hold up. VERA!
Hello? Who's there?
Phoebe! Move! Phoebe, where are you? I lost you! Here I am!
Hello?
I can't hear you. Why can't we have some light? It's all in the dark. Damn house. You don't know where you are. You don't know where anyone is. It's a damn drac on the stairs pulling all the candles out. Here, I've got a light. Where's Dr. Armstrong?
I'm hunting for matches.
Never mind matches, get some more candles.
I was horrified to death. It went right around my throat.
What did?
The window was open in my room. It blew out the candle as I opened the door. And then I felt a long streak of seaweed touch my throat. I thought in the dark that I was being strangled by a wet hand.
No wonder you yelled.
Who put the seaweed there?
I don't know. When I find out, they'll be sorry they were ever born.
Who's that?
It's all right, Miss Claythorne, it's just me.
Here we are. Who fired that shot?
She's dead. Shot through the head.
One got in chancery. And then there were 4.
VERA?
Miss Claythorne?
You got me out of the way. You got me to go upstairs for cigarettes. You put the seaweed there. You did it all so that you could kill that helpless old woman in the dark. You're mad. All of you. Crazy. That's why you wanted the red curtain and the knitting wool. It was all planned long ago. For that. Oh my. Let me get out of here.
as they guzzle who's the next to go.
Oh, Phoebe.
It's all right, Miss Claythorne. I don't mind joking on a full stomach. I must say I was hungry. We've been nearly 24 hours without food. That does lower the morale. Somehow, in the light of day, it all seems different. You mustn't forget there's a dangerous homicidal lunatic somewhere loose on the island.
Why is it one doesn't feel jittery about it anymore?
Because we know now, beyond any possible doubt, who it is, eh, Blore? That's right. It was the uncertainty before, looking at each other, wondering which.
I said all along it was Dr. Armstrong.
You did, my sweet, you did. Until, of course, you went completely backs and suspected us all.
It seems rather silly in the light of day.
Very silly. Allowing it is, Armstrong. What's happened to her? We know what she wants us to think has happened to her.
What exactly did you find?
One shoe. Just one shoe sitting prettily on the cliff edge, in prints. Dr. Armstrong has gone completely off her onion and committed suicide.
All very circumstantial, even to one China soldier broken over there in the doorway.
I think that was rather overdoing it. A woman wouldn't think of doing that if she was going to drown herself.
Quite so. But we're fairly sure that she didn't drop herself. But she had to make it appear as though she were the seventh victim, all according to plan.
Suppose she really is dead.
I'm a bit suspicious of death without bodies.
How extraordinary to think that there are 5 dead bodies in there, and we've been eating tin tongue.
A delightful disregard for the facts. There are 6 dead bodies, and they are not all in there.
Oh, no. She's right. There are only 5.
What about Mrs. Rogers?
I've counted her. She makes the 5th.
Now look here. Marston 1, Mrs. Rogers 2, General Mackenzie 3, Rogers 4, Emily Brett 5, and Wargrave 6.
7, 8, 9, Armstrong 10. That's right, old gal. Sorry.
Don't you think it would be an idea if we brought Mrs. Rogers downstairs and shoved her in the morgue too?
I'm a detective, not an undertaker.
For heaven's sake, do stop talking about bodies. The point is, Armstrong murdered them.
We ought to have known it was Armstrong straight away.
Tell me, what happened in the night?
Well, after you threw a fit of hysterics and locked yourself in your room, we all figured we'd go to bed. So we all went to bed and locked ourselves in our rooms.
About an hour later, I heard someone pass my door. I came out and tapped on Blore's door, and she was there all right. Then I went to Armstrong's room, and it was empty. That's when I tapped on your door and told you to sit tight, whatever happened. Then I came down here, nothing.
Where do you think Armstrong is?
Lurking somewhere, waiting to have a crack at one of us.
We ought to search the house.
What, and walk into an ambush?
Oh, I never thought of that.
Were you quite sure you heard no one moving about after we went out?
Oh, I imagine all sorts of things, but nothing short of setting the house on fire would have got me to unlock my door.
I see. Just thoroughly suspicious.
How do you think Armstrong got hold of your revolver?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Tell me, what exactly did you find?
Just the one shoe.
No revolver. Look here. You said you've lost it. What's to prove you haven't had it all this time?
Same old gramophone record. No more than one idea in your room or your head, is there?
No. But it's a good idea.
You're sticking to it.
And I would have thought up a better story than that if I were you.
I only wanted something simple that policemen could understand.
What's wrong with the police?
Nothing now that you've left the force.
Now look here, Captain Lombard. If you're an honest man, as you pretend.
Come on, Blore, we're neither of us honest.
If you're telling the truth, then why don't you have to do the square thing and bring that revolver down here?
Don't be an ass.
I said I'll go through the house looking for Armstrong. Haven't I? If I'm willing to do that, will you lend me that revolver?
No, that revolver's gone. It's Armstrong's now. I'm sticking to it.
Then you know what I'm beginning to think?
You're not beginning to think it at all. You thought it last night, and now you've gone back to your original idea. I'm the one and only you and unknown Owen. Is that it?
I won't contradict.
Think what you damn well please, but
I think you both are behaving like a pair of children.
Sorry, teacher.
Of course, Captain Lombard isn't the unknown. The unknown Owen is Dr. Armstrong, and I'll give you one very good proof of it.
Oh, what?
Think of the ride. 4 little soldier boys went out to sea, a red heron swallowed one, and then there were 3. Don't you see the subtlety of it? A red herring, that's Armstrong's pretended suicide, but it's only a red herring, so really she isn't dead.
That's very ingenious.
To my mind, it's absolute proof. You see, it's all mad because she's mad. She takes a strange, childish, crazy pleasure in sticking to the rhyme and making everything happen in that way. Dressing up the judge, killing Rogers when he was chopping sticks, using a hypodermic needle on Miss Brent when she might just as well have drugged her. She's got to make it all fit in.
That might give us a pointer. Where do we go from here? 3 little soldier boys were walking at the zoo. A big bear hugged one, and then there were 2. She'll chomp with that one. There's no zoo on this island. I say, Captain Lombard, what about a nice bottle of beer?
Do stop thinking about your stomach, Blore.
But there's plenty of beer in the kitchen.
Yes, and if anyone wanted to get rid of you, the first place they think putting a lethal dose would be in a nice bottle of beer.
What's that? A boat! A boat! No, wait! Ah! Oh, no!
Blore got hers.
How?
Booby trap. All set. A wire across the door attached to something above.
Is she...
Yep. Crushed. Head stove in. That great bronze bear holding the clock from the landing.
A bear? Oh, how ghastly. It's this awful childishness.
I know.
God, what a fool Blore was. And now there are 2.
Yes, Vera.
We'll have to be very careful of ourselves. We shan't do it. She'll get us. We'll never get away from this island.
Oh, yes, we will.
I've never been beaten yet. Don't you feel that there's someone now in this room watching us? Watching and waiting?
That's just nerves.
Then you do feel it.
No. Don't.
Please, Phoebe, let's get away from this house anywhere. Perhaps if that was a boat, they'll see us.
All right. We'll go to the top of the island and wait for relief to come. There's a sheer cliff on the far side and see if anyone approaches from the house.
Anything's better than staying here.
Won't you be rather cold in that dress?
I'd be colder if I were dead.
Yes, you're right.
Where did you find that?
Come on, wait. A quick reconnaissance.
Be careful, Phoebe, please.
I'm not Blore. Hello. There's something washed up on the rocks. What? It looks like a body. You better wait now. I'm going to have a look.
Armstrong. Armstrong's body.
It's Armstrong. Washed up at high water mark.
So, there's no one on the island at all? No one except us 2?
Miss Vera. Now we know where we are.
Now we know where we are.
What a pretty trick of yours. That wire, quite neat. Well, Wargrave always knew you were dangerous. You did drown that kid after all.
I didn't. That's where you're wrong. Please believe me. Please listen to me.
I'm listening. We better make it a good story.
It isn't a story. It's the truth. I did not kill that child. It was someone else.
Who?
A man. Peter's uncle. I was in love with him.
Well, this is getting quite interesting.
Don't sneer. It was hell. Absolute hell. Peter was born after his father's death. If he'd been a girl, Hugh would have got everything.
Well-known tale of the wicked uncle.
Yes, he was wicked, and I didn't know. He said he loved me, but that he was too poor to marry. There was a rock that Peter was always wanting to swim to. Of course, I wouldn't let him. It was dangerous. One day, we were on the beach, and I had to go back to the house for something I'd forgotten. When I came back, I saw Peter swimming out to the rock. I knew he hadn't a chance. The current had got him already. I flew towards the beach, and Hugh tried to stop me. Don't be a fool, he said. I told him he could do it.
Go on. This is interesting.
I pushed past him. He tried to stop me, but I got away, and I rushed towards the beach. I plunged into the sea and swam after Peter.
And everything went off well at the inquest. They called you a plucky girl, and you kept discreetly quiet about Hugh's part in the business.
Do you think anyone would have believed me? Besides, love with you. Well, it's a pretty story. And then I suppose Hugh let you down. Do you think I ever wanted to see him again? You certainly are an accomplished liar, Vera. Can't you believe the truth when you hear it? Who set that trap that killed BLORE? I did it. And Armstrong's dead. I've broken most of the commandments in my time, and I'm no saint. But there's one thing I won't stand for, and that's murder. You won't stand for murder? What about those soldiers you left to die in Africa? But that's what's so damn funny. I did it. What do you mean? For once, just once, mark you, I played the hero. Risked my life to save the lives of my men, gave them my rifle and ammunition and all the food there was, and took a chance through the bush. The most incredible luck it came off, but it wasn't in time to save them. And the rumor got around that I deliberately abandoned my men. There's life for you. Do you really expect me to believe that? Why, you actually admitted the whole thing. I know. I got such a kick out of watching their faces. You can't fool me with a stupid lie like that. Blast you! Why didn't I see it before? It's there in your face, the face of a killer. Can't fool me any longer. Young, lovely, quite mad. VERA CLAYTHORNE. All my life I've wanted to take life. Yes, to take life. I've had to get what enjoyment I could out of sentencing the guilty to death. So I've always enjoyed that, but it wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted to do it myself with my own hands. But I'm the judge of the High Court. I've got a sense of justice. As between our sovereign lord, the king, and the prisoner of the bar, will true deliverance be made. Guilty, my lord, yes. Guilty. You were all guilty, but the law couldn't touch you. So I had to take matters into my own hands. Into my own hands. Silence in the court! Anthony Marston first. Then Mrs. Rogers, bartone in the brandy. Mackenzie, stabbed. Got Rogers with an axe and was chopping sticks. Soaked Emily Brent's coffee so she couldn't feel the hypodermic. Booby trap for BLORE. BLORE was a fool. I always knew it would be easy to get BLORE. Returning that revolver was a clever touch. Maybe and interesting. I always knew you two would suspect each other in the end. The question was, who would win out? I banked on you, my dear. Prisoner of the bar! Have you anything to say before sentence is passed on you? VERA Elizabeth CLAYTHORNE, I sentence you to death! Stop! Stop! I'm not guilty, I'm not guilty! Ah, they all say that. Must plead not guilty. Unless, of course, you're going all in for a verdict of insanity. But you're not mad! I'm mad. You're not! But I am innocent, I swear it. I never killed that child. I never wanted to kill him. You're
interesting. But it doesn't matter much now, does it? What? I can't spoil my little run. My 10 little soldiers plan. And you're the last one. One little soldier boy left all alone. He went and hanged himself. I must have my hanging. My hanging!
It's all right. I thought you were dead. I thought I killed you. God, you can't aim straight. At least not straight enough. I'll never forget this. Yes, you will. You know, there's another ending to that 10 little soldier boys rhyme. One little soldier boy left all alone. We got married, and then there were none. Vera?